My name is Zoom. Welcome to the Grind Theory, where hustle meets strategy. We invite winners into our circle. You are invited.
If you ever want a rehab center, Avenues is the best place ever. I broke into gas stations a lot when it was closed.
What do you do now to stop yourself from going back to that lifestyle?
You know, the judge really literally asked me if I was doing life in an installment plan, and I went and met up with my old drug dealer. I owed him some money. I owed him $120. I gave him 150. At Avenues, we recognize that addiction is a long life disease that can be overcome with the quality of treatment, consistent effort, strong support, and loving community. We view our recovery journeys as a source of attending pride. We celebrate our sobriety, we celebrate our strength, and we celebrate each another every day. We are Avenues, the recovery community.
This your boy Zoom. We back with another episode of the Grind Theory. We got a special guest today.
My name is Ryan Cabanaw, born and raised Mishawaka, Indiana. This might be a little personal to you guys, but I went through a rough time. I was young. I didn't have no dad at all. I was just me and my mother and basically my grandma. So I wasn't really taught, a father figure in life, and started doing bad things, because like I said, I didn't have no father. So I started doing bad things, ended up in and out of jail and stuff like that. So about 13 years of my life locked up, in and out. And that's basically about it for my little childhood. I just wasn't born with a dad, like normally other people have.
As your childhood, you say you didn't have a father. Who did you tend to look for guidance from? Because usually, when there is a missing parent, it's like for me, I didn't have a dad either. So it was always my grandpa, stuff like that. Who's somebody that you kind of looked up to without that father figure?
Well, it's kind of really my grandma and my sister, really. My sister's always been there for me. She's had my back through everything, even fought fights for me when I couldn't and stuff like that. So, my mom, she worked 2 jobs just to support us, everything else like that. And she wasn't really around. So, like I said, my sister basically raised me as, I'm a kid, basically. Then finally, my Uncle Jeff, rest his peace, he sort of wanted to be a father figure to me, and I looked up to him more than anything in the world, and he taught me how to do the man stuff, the fishing, the fighting, the, getting the women, stuff like that. And
I know you had mentioned something about rehab. I kind of want to let's kind of talk about that. When did you start experimenting with drugs?
Well, I started off, I had kidney stones, and I was taking them Vicodins, and Vicodins got to Percocets, and then Percocets got to not really nothing. I was, sorry to say, but I was on heroin for a little bit. And I quit that for a long time, and my grandma passed away some odd years ago, and that's what really got me really bad. I didn't know how to cope with no pain. I was just tore up from the inside out, because that was my grandma. Everybody's got their grandma, their favorite grandma. So I was tore up inside, and the only way I could just kill the pain was to do drugs, and then I got worse and worse and worse. And
So, did the death of your grandma cause you to do the drugs, or was it something to fill a void?
Basically, yeah, it's to fill a void. I started off, just because I do have a bad back. I fell off a roof, so I started off, doing that to help my back. And then once she passed away, my buddy introduced me to a cheaper drug, like I said, which was heroin. Instead of buying expensive stuff, I went to that, and it was cheaper. I got more of it, and I started doing more and more and more. And pretty soon I was hooked. And I still worked every day. If y'all would say, I was never a junkie. I was an addict. I never stole for drugs. I've always worked for my drugs. I've always paid my bills on time. I made sure the table was full when I was with my child's mother. It just offends me when people call me a junkie. I was an addict. A junkie's a whole different concept than an addict.
Okay. What do you do now to stop yourself from going back to that lifestyle?
Well, I quit for a while. I met this girl, real wonderful girl. I met her after my child's mother. I met her. She got me on the right path, and my mom got real sick and everything, and like I said, another way of coping with pain. So I went back to the drugs and everything. And for too long, I lost her. I lost the girl I was with. I got clean. I relapsed again. She sort of helped me, and went through rough times. So she ended up kicking me out. This past year or so ago, right before Christmas. She kicked me out. I went to my mother's house. And my mother looked at me and she said, "You ain't got no place to go." And I looked at her like in distress, and I could just see the look on her face that I know she still loves me, because every parent loves their mother no matter what. But she just had that look in that face like I was a disgust to her, and that's when I hit rock bottom.
How do you think, like your family and the people that you love, how do you think it makes them feel to see you like that?
It makes them feel like I ain't nothing to them, because I never went to family events. I was too high. I never really did anything because I was too high. I dealt with a lot of stuff high, and that's basically how I dealt with stuff. I mean, if you come to me sideways, I'd go take a sniff. Pain would be gone. Everything would be gone. Tomorrow would come.
What is your advice to like the youth or just anybody that's like never done drugs? What is something you would tell them? Like,
Well, something I would tell them is that basically it's not worth losing everything. I mean, if you do want to do drugs, nobody can stop you, but just think of what all you could lose in that period of time. Yes, it might be a good feeling when you're on it, but with that feeling that you lost everything and hit rock bottom, that tells you right there that you need help. And that's basically, I hit rock bottom. I went to a place, it's called Avenues right here, got my chain and everything. If you ever want a rehab center, Avenues is the best place ever. I mean, I've learned a lot from there. I focused on a lot of stuff that I really never focused on. I see more things in people that I haven't seen since I've, been sober. I've seen how people treat me while I'm sober than when I was on them drugs, because like I said, I just didn't really care how people treated me. I just go get high and blank them all out. But now since I've been sober, I said I went right before Christmas. I'm almost 9 months clean, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
9 months clean. 9 months, man. That's a journey.
Yes, it is.
What are you doing every day to keep that journey going, though? Like,
I wake up and I remember my mom's still here. The people that supported me through my rough times, even though they didn't want to, they're still behind me. They care about me, and it's just feeling as if I go back to that path of devastation, that I'm gonna lose everything again, and I will not have a second chance. This is my second chance in life. I'm doing good now. I finally got a vehicle. It's almost paid off. I got a motorcycle. I was getting ready to start my own business. It just feels good to have things, to do things, to see things, to remember. When I was high, I never remember nothing. Now I can remember last night. Me and my mom was chilling, The night before, we went to the beach. I didn't remember that stuff when I was high. I was just worried about hurrying up, getting to the beach, getting home, getting dope.
do you have a criminal background? Like
Yes, I
criminal
do.
history? Would you mind like talking about that?
Well, like I said, when I was a child, I broke into gas stations a lot when it was closed. I've been locked up, like I said, like 13, 14 years of my whole life. The judge really literally asked me if I was doing life in an installment plan. And I finally got away from the bad people that I was with and started going on the right path. And then I met Mr. H. But I never really was on a stealing spree or a bad crime spree when I was on the drugs. I just was, I worked to get it, to do what I had to do, for the next day.
What kind of work do you do?
I rehab houses for a living. I'm pretty good at what I do. I can take a house that looks like trash and to make it to a livable home.
So rehab. Okay.
Rehab, yeah. And another thing is this book, just for today, for y'all. It's a good book to read. It's got every month, every day. It tells you a lot about your sobriety,
Let me see.
the
What
way you're
is it?
living, and stuff like that. I read it every morning before I jump in my truck. It sits in my dash. Like I said, I rub my chain every morning and just thankful that I'm here for another clean, sober day.
The book is called Just for Today by Nas Inc. Narcotics Anonymous. Just
Good
in
book.
case anybody's wondering. So your dad not being there in your in your childhood, how do you show up for your child?
Well, when I was not on drugs and everything, I was a good father. I was there for my kids. And then, like I said, I just felt like the drugs was number one, my priority when I got on drugs. I mean, I still attended to my kids, not as much, because I was worried about that next day, that next get me up, the next stuff like that. And that, like I said, that ruined my life. But now, as of today, I go pick up my son every time I can. And like 3 days ago, we was sitting there, and I had a little bit of money. I got paid from a job, and I wanted to take him out. I told him, I got decent money. Let's go anywhere you want. And he looked at me and he told me he wanted to go home, and it was on his birthday, July 21st. And it kind of hurt me, I mean, like if I was high, I would have just said, okay, son, I'll see you tomorrow. But that when people say stuff to you when you're sober, other than you're high, it's got a whole different meaning. Like you feel every tense, every hair stands up if people said something wrong to you, and you notice that. But like I said, if I was on dope or drugs, I wouldn't have cared. I'd talk your talk. I'm going to get the next high. But now it's different. It shows me who I am today and who I wanted to be for the rest of my life from here on forward. As a good father, a clean and sober man.
Where do you see yourself, or where do you want to be at in 5 years?
I really can't describe that. I'm just going just day by day for now. I wake up, whatever comes to that day. As long as I wake up clean, sober, it doesn't matter what I do. It could be a bad day. As long as I wake up in that morning knowing I read my book and I'm clean and I got something going on for the day, that day is good. But I do, like I said, I got my own business going. I do want to start that up, get that going on, to help people, cheap houses. You come to me. If you can't afford a big time company, you can come see me. I'm not here to empty your pockets. I know how it is to be broke. I know how it is to not have nothing. I'm here to help you to make sure your family's got a good life and a decent house and a roof over their head.
Is that something you feel like you're doing like mainly to like repay back into like all the bad stuff you may did? Because like a lot of people, like a lot of business owners, I mean, the main goal is to make the money.
Yeah.
But to just like give your labor out like that at a cheap cost.
Would
Would you feel like that made you do that because of like, is there a reason behind it, or is it just
There's kind of
because?
reason behind it. Like, I've screwed over a lot of people since I've been on drugs. Actually, I went and met up with my old drug dealer. I owed him some money. I owed him $120. I gave him 150, and he asked, how you been? I told him I've been clean 9 months. He gave me a hug. He turned around and gave me the 100 back and said, I'm proud of you. Now get off my step. I don't want to see you no more. You're doing good. And I ran into a couple other few, like in the stores and everything, and they was all worried about the drugs. Oh, you want some dope? You want some? No. I just want you to, recognize that I'm sober now. There was only one of them out of the few that really recognized me and appreciated me that I got sober. Because I've been telling him for years and years, I'm gonna get sober. I'm gonna get sober. He said, all you got to do is change. Just all you got to do is think about it. And I went to his door and I gave him his money, and he said, I didn't think I'd never see you again, man. And I was like, I wanted to come back and I wanted to give you the money that I owed you. Sorry for screwing you around. And like I said, he turned around and gave me the 100 back, and gave me a hug, and we sat down and talked for a little bit, and I told him how I got my shit together, and he said, "Man, I'm proud of you," and I walked off. And I didn't even feel like, when people go up to the drug house, they get the jitters, they get the urge, they get the, oh, I want to
get
do it
more,
back.
yeah.
I didn't even feel that. I felt more confident of paying him back because I screwed him over than anything about any drugs. And that made me feel good right there. That made me feel like not a man, but it made me feel, I really can't explain it. It made me feel something different than paying you back your money. It made me feel that I accomplished something.
Yeah, you were there paying your debt instead of buying dope.
Instead of buying dope, yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there anything you've always wanted to tell the world, but you've never had the platform to do it?
I mean, not really, but I mean, it's, y'all think of, just think of what you have going for your lives. Don't think of no negative. Don't think of no bad, because that brings you down more than anything. If your girl left you, don't cry and mope over the girl. Don't move on to the next girl, because that makes you feel like you're a whore or whatever in the heck you are. Just, she'd be still in the back of your mind, and just like, don't go run into dope, because that's what I used to do. I used to go run to the drugs to cure my pain. Have a friend, talk to somebody, open up to somebody, go fishing. Even if you got to do a donut in your car, just anything to get you feel in your right state of mind than to go do something negative. Keep it positive. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. Even if it don't make you feel comfortable, try it anyways.
Are there any goals for this year you want to complete before the year's over?
Well, I had accomplished two of them. Like I said, I got me a car, got me a bike that I've been wanting. I'm about to get a house. I want to get me a house so I can have my kids over, something that I can call mine. I just want to live life clean, live life sober, and I mean, I know my mom's real bad health, and when she goes, that's gonna be the hardest thing. I mean, I'm not gonna say it, but it could be possible that it could be a relapse in me because that's my mother. That's who's born and raised me, who I look up to my whole life. But is what she always say. I wouldn't want you to do that for me. I wouldn't want you to go back to that. I know it's gonna hurt you, son, but keep in your mind what you got in front of you. What have you accomplished? Do you want to lose all that again? Do you want to go back to underneath that rock that you've tried so hard to crawl out from, and you finally did it?
Is there anything you want to talk about before we close the show out?
I'm just, whoever's out there watching, like I said, if you have drug problems, you can reach out to me somehow. I will more than happy to talk you through. I will give you the address to Avenues. That is the best place to ever go to. If you do go, don't go by the one by your house, because I thought about that. And then I thought about, it's right down the road from the house. I could just leave. So I went to Fort Wayne, out of state, out of town, out of the, city that I'm from. And they really, literally drilled it in my head not to make me be. I did it myself to make me be clean, but I had used the tools that they gave me to keep myself on this straight and narrow path.
That makes sense. So, if you're ever suffering with substance abuse or anything like that, Avenues is the way to go. But this is the wrap on episode 6. We have an episode every week. You can tune in every Friday. Subscribe to the channel. I'm out.
I'm out.